Oh, by the way, 3 blocked kicks.
Let's just call it what it is. He's the best college football player in the country right now.
Heisman finalist Ndamukong Suh in studio with us here on 1080 The Fan. Good talking to you, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here. Glad I can come back in town and talk to you guys.
What have you been doing since you've been back?
I've just been running around, had a lot of business meetings, and obviously get a chance here and there to hang out with my family and friends. That's the main reason why I came back, and just kind of relax, take a little bit of time off to myself while getting some mini workouts in, and then get back to working out hardcore in the next couple of weeks.
Has it changed a little bit? You're a two-time All-American. I mean, people that follow college football know all about you, but it seems like after that Big 12 championship game, you've kind of become a rock star.
Yeah, kind of. Everybody is always coming up to me that find me and say they love the game that I played against Texas in the Big 12 championship. But I mean, that game was just particularly I wanted to get a championship ring. I haven't had one since I've been there. Last time I was up and I had an opportunity to play for a championship was in 2006 when we got killed by Oklahoma.
Well, you know you cost your team the game by being too good.
Yeah, I mean that if I would have held off a little bit longer, I mean I would have maybe allowed the clock to run out. But it's unfortunate the way things end, and I mean it is what it is. We went ahead and took care of business against Arizona in the Holiday Bowl, and stamped that we were a pretty good team to be reckoned with this year.
Were you surprised by how easy it was to take out Arizona?
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I thought they would have definitely. In my opinion, they had a pretty high-powered offense, so I thought they definitely have an opportunity to get close to our end zone and obviously have to fight a little bit harder than we did. But I mean, really, there was only one real particular scare towards the end of the game when they got down past their 50-yard line and put it down in our 20. So I mean, it was a fun game though. Everybody on the defensive line and our secondary and linebackers played an excellent game. It was close to being a perfect game. Obviously, there's mistakes here and there. Obviously, they got some big runs here and there. But, I mean, for the most part, we almost played a perfect game, in my opinion.
It's like you're a different team. You know, in a true playoff scenario, you'd be one of those teams that no one wants to face. As people watched you at the beginning of the season, your team, no one thought a lot about Nebraska. And then towards the end of the season, you guys really turned it on. I mean, I think you guys were playing as good as anyone the last 3 weeks of the year.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And that's just due to our coaches, and they've kept continually to push us throughout the season, and that's what we want to do week in and week out. We want to continue to get better and learn from our mistakes, whether it's from a win or a loss, and hopefully it's from a win. We want to be able to continue to win and learn and move forward from our mistakes that we can pick up from previous games.
All-American defensive tackle at Nebraska. He's from Portland, played at Grant. And Ndamukong Suh in studio with us here on 1080 The Fan. How did you get to Nebraska anyway? And who else was recruiting you? Or who were you close to?
I was close to. It really came down to Cal and Nebraska, both big engineering schools. I'm an engineering major, just graduated in December on the 19th, so very proud about that. But the funny thing is, my sister went to Mississippi State, and there was a guy named John Blake who was a defensive line coach down with her boyfriend at the time. And they had a good relationship, and he ended up moving from Mississippi State in 2004 up to Nebraska, and he started recruiting me and grew to love him and still love him to this day, even though he left me 3 years ago to go to North Carolina, which I understand is a business decision, and we've been close ever since.
And it's one of those places, too, that my brother played at Washington State, and we went down to see him play at Nebraska. Nebraska is one of those schools that when you walk in, you realize that it's different. Even though they've been down, it's one of the 10 or 12 programs that just has a different feel the moment you walk on campus and you walk in their football facilities.
Yeah, definitely. It's a unique place, and with that great state, it's all about Nebraska football and the Nebraska athletics at that, because we got a great volleyball team, and as well as soccer team and basketball team on the upcoming, and as well, our women's basketball team is amazing. They just beat LSU in a big game before we went down to our bowl game. But I mean, Nebraska is a unique place because that whole state immerses itself into that school, and it's all about that school, and that's just the way it is. Nebraska football, I mean, it's one unique place to play, and I'm gonna miss it.
How realistic did you think your chances were when you got invited to the Heisman ceremony?
I thought I had pretty good chances. Obviously, a lot of people have been telling me, a lot of media outlets, that I actually met down at the Nagurski Award when I found out that they waited till after the championship weekend to make their votes, and they said I had a good chance just because they switched a lot of their votes because of the way that I played, and said I probably took a lot of Colts votes, but obviously with the polls coming out at the Heisman, I didn't take enough. So,
What was the ceremony like? What will you remember most about that?
Probably the most is getting a chance to meet all those guys. It was a great opportunity to meet those guys, and you see them on TV all the time, get to talk to them, and really actually get to know them on a personal level and see how unique they are and what kind of people they are, all the good people they are. And probably the biggest thing that I remember outside of those relationships is probably Empire State Building. Being on the top of that, looking over New York, looking over the Queens and Manhattan, and just looking over the Brooklyn Bridge and all that stuff. It's amazing, and I can't wait to go back and get an opportunity to just be a kind of a tourist of it.
Mm-hmm. Talking with Ndamukong Suh here on 1080 The Fan. He's in studio with us. Were Oregon and Oregon State on the radar for you?
Yes, Oregon State was on the radar. They'd probably be the next closest after Cal for me to attend. But the reason why I didn't go to Oregon State, for all the Oregon fans and Oregon State fans, is I couldn't stay home. I needed to leave home and get out of my comfort zone and meet new people and be able to broaden my horizons. So that's the reason why I didn't want to stay home, because half my high school of 2,000 people, either half of them went to Oregon and half of them went to Oregon State. So I didn't want to run into the same people, wanted to meet new people.
I had that same thing when I was deciding. You know, you hear so much about people that want to stay close to home, but I was the exact same way when picking colleges. You were looking at Washington State, Oregon State, and it just felt a little weird, you know, only being 2 or 3 hours from home. I feel like you want to spread your wings a little bit.
And it's funny now because the guy who's actually recruiting me was Nigel Burton, who's the Portland State head coach right now. So just re-linked up with him at the Blazer game on, I believe it was Tuesday. And he's a great guy, still close with him and his wife, beautiful young lady. So I mean, it was a blast to just meet and reconnect with him. I'm actually gonna go see him right after this.
The Grant High School, I mean, think back. I can remember being on the show here and watching you play in high school. Did you ever think back to those days and what your mindset was? Did you ever think all this was possible?
It was a dream of mine, and I knew it was going to take a lot of work. But I mean, it was just really had to make the right decision to find a good university to go to and good coaches to carry underneath their wings and just be groomed by. And obviously, I made great decisions, or for the most part, good decisions, and they've all worked out for me, which is a blessing. I mean, a lot of people make decisions and they're not always the right ones, but and they don't always work out for the best. But for the most part, everything's worked out for the best for me, even though I've gone through some turmoil at Nebraska.
Did you struggle at all when you got to Nebraska, or did you find that you could play immediately?
I struggled a little bit, and I actually got hurt my freshman year. I played in 3 games and got hurt, and ended up making a medical red shirt. And I was a little frustrated probably my sophomore year. I felt that I was equally as talented as the guy who was starting ahead of me, and but I still got good minutes, and I knew I was a young player, just a redshirt freshman. So I sat back and just played my role, which I understood. And he was a senior, and he needed his chance, which actually kind of helped me. And just from there, it's been growing and maturing ever since, and it's worked out for me. It's been a truly blessing, and I'm very happy with the way things have ended up for myself.
Well, yeah, you may have lost the Heisman Trophy, but you really are going to win the big prize here in a couple months, because you're about to be worth $40 million.
I don't know. It's funny to even think about that, but I understand that there's a lot of hard work going into that, and I'm ready to get to work. Obviously, I got to find a great agency to represent me, and then continue to work hard on the field and off the field, and just better myself.
And Ndamukong Suh in studio here. How do you go about that? I mean, that whole agent thing. And
yeah, I don't think you find them. I'm pretty sure that there's some people calling you.
Well, who will you? How do you go about the process of choosing?
For me, it's really just my family. They've been heading that up. Great family. Both my parents and my sister, and a couple coaches that I had close contact with throughout in high school, really helped me with my college decision process as well. They really dealt with it all during the season, because I didn't want to deal with it all during the season. That was my least focus, and I changed my number and lost myself in the football and school, and that's what I wanted to do, and I got a chance to do that. Great family and friends to take care of that, and now I'm immersing myself into the agents and learning, and obviously I read when I had free time during school and read up on people, But obviously, this is now